Alright, I didn't want to say anything while we were there, but basically the gentleman who owned this ended up passing away. So the background story that I got is that the guy had it serviced professionally, wink wink, and he got it home, he mowed his lawn, or he was in the middle of mowing his lawn, and the motor just plain seized up and has never run since. It's been sitting out behind the shed that I've been driving by probably at least 2 years at this point. It is well used. We'll go around it for a sec and I'll show you a few things. Both front tires have been tubed. The bearings are totally shot. They're slightly overinflated, which is why we've got these blowouts on the side. Rear tires are showing their age. Also have been tubed. That worries me because that's a slime tube most likely, judging from that type of inlet. We've got tube in that one. Yet again, most likely a slime tube holding. And we've got a tube in this one that yet again has been way overinflated. The motor is kind of questionable, the fact that it was serviced. Even after sitting, I really don't expect it to have this much dirt on it because it was well away from the side of the road. And we're also not on a gravel section of road. We're on a paved section. So that makes me a little concerned. It's got a little bit of surface rust starting to show up. But unlike a John Deere, the paint is actually still there. Engineers suck. Pet peeve. Why in the world on something that sits outside would you design it with no drainage holes? Why? Engineers suck. New plan. That needs to come off first. Mouse nest is collapsing out of everywhere in this thing, including all of that in underneath there is all filled with nest. There's droppings and everything down there, which I can't get the camera into, but yeah, all of that back there is filled with nest. So, oh, yeah, I don't know what's coming out of this thing, but I haven't stopped sneezing since I started working on it. So, yep, that, see, this goes along with the whole service thing. I have a hard time believing, because that is definitely not a new thing. How about this? Is this new? This should be totally clean. Yeah, somebody lied. I don't know who did the service on this thing, but I hope they're out of business, because somebody lied. Alright, at this point, this should come off. There we go. There. Okay. Oh, yeah. I'm glad we didn't try and get it rotating, because that would have sucked. Wow. That's... oh, nope. That whole chunk there is gone. Never mind. We'll go put this in so it can be fire starter for tonight. Maybe we'll have some hot dogs. Currently working on burning down this stump that needs to go away right there. Bye bye, mouse nest. Let's pop this valve cover off and see what's under here. Again, whoever did the maintenance is not getting praise from me because it looks like there might be gasket maker under here. Yep. Somebody sealed it up with RTV. Somebody knew this motor was having a bad day. Well, that's loose. The rod seems fine. That seems okay. Valve is moving. Valve is moving. Well, it's good as far as the valves are concerned, and the fact the rods move. That's bad as far as whatever's going on in here. Let's get this spark plug out. Maybe. Wow. What in the world? Why won't that come off? There it goes. Yeah, that entire thing is rusted. Right royal. That coil is not going to do anything. And I'm going to bet that spark plug is just totally jammed in there. So we're going to unjam it brutally. There. Let's see. There we go. So, yeah. That spark plug is entirely, totally grunge, has oil and caca all over it. I'm gonna bet she probably ate a piston ring. I think at this point we'll pop the head off and decide from there. Alright, got to the point of one more head bolt to remove and she should pop off here. Now, to answer the question about getting the exhaust out of the way that I get quite often, just remove the two nuts, two bolts that are right here. The front folds down, the exhaust drops down. So here we go. Let's see what's underneath here. Now, when I pulled these bolts out, it seemed like 3 of them weren't even tight. So I'm not sure what we're going to find. Oh yeah, that is all carboned up on the inside. That is not happy. This motor was not enjoying life for quite a while. Yeah, it's all icky in there. That's horrible. Now, the next question is, if we pulled that, why is it not moving? I think we do the 2x4 test. I think we put a 2x4 in there, we smack it with a hammer, and we see if it moves. Now, notably, I expect this motor is junk, but we're going to see if we can free it up, but I'm going to bet the cam inside is going. Uh-oh, I heard chunkies. That moved. And yeah, that moved. And that did not, which means the internals are blown. Because at this point, that should be moving. And it is not moving. We'll break it down a little further, but I think we're at the lost cause point. You have got to see this. Can you see that in there? Yeah, that bugger wasn't going to go anywhere long term. So a while back I did a little bit of horse trading for this Courage 18 horsepower. And I've never actually heard it run, but I trust the guy that I got it from, and he said that it should be a runner. So we've got the top taken off of it. We've got a starter bolted on. And we're going to make sure that this starter actually works because it came off of a junkyard motor. And I don't even actually know if this starter is any good. So let's see if the starter works. Otherwise, we're dead before we even try. Okay, starter works. So the reason why it is I grabbed this Kohler is because it is a single wire control, which is a progressive choke setup. And that's what we need in order to replace the Briggs. We also need a 4-wire, 6-hole 4-wire plug. So we're going to give this some starter fluid, give it some choke, and see if it'll actually do something. If it does, we'll slap it in the machine, see if we can mow a lawn. Whoa, that tried to fire and just turned the whole fucking thing. Okay. What happened there? Something caught. Well, I don't usually swear. I apologize for that. Alright, let's try that again. This time with a little bit more hold. There, that'll run. Well, I'm still confused as to what this thing must have had for service done to it, because underneath it has 2 brand spanking new blades. But compliments of a leaking jug, the oil that was in it is utterly, totally molasses grunge. Yeah, I don't know what was supposedly done for service to it. Engine pulley removal tip. If you look right now, that's a nut. That's because this is what came out of there. So what you do is you grab a piece of 3/8 rod and you cut it off about 2 inches longer than the bolt that came out. You weld a nut on the bottom of it so that that can't go anywhere. And then that way you can tighten this up and pop that pulley off without doing any damage. There we go. Pulley off with the 3-jaw puller, and there's that so that you can see what I mean. So I guess it's about 3 inches or so extra. I make them out of habit now, so I guess I was off just a little bit. 3 inches apparently does matter. I just noticed something. That's the wrong head. See that one? That's got a crack in it. Right there on the intake. These heads are supposed to have an X-brace on the inside of here in order to make them stronger. That's an older head off like a 15 horsepower. Yeah, something's not right here. Anyways, these are mounting bolts for a Briggs & Stratton. This is the size that you have to use for the Kohler. So I just wanted to point this out, that if you do this engine swap, you need to get these to replace these. Now you can go the other way around, and Briggs & Stratton will hold down with the bolts for the Kohler, but I would use these in the Briggs, and I really wish Kohler didn't use these. But anyways, there's all the bolts and nuts of the situation. Just wanted to point this out for everybody in case you didn't know this. From here to about right here, these are all the same exact muffler. Really does not matter whether it's a Briggs or a Kohler muffler or whatever. What they do is they clock this flange at about 40 to 50 degrees off from each other. So if you carefully cut it on this flat piece right in here, you can clock it on the engine to where you need, mark it, and then weld it all the way around, and voila. Does not matter whether it came off of a Briggs or a Kohler. Or if you're like me and you cannot seem to find one in your junkyard, so you have to make one. Alright, we've got just a little bit of gas here because I don't trust that carburetor that's been sitting for several years not to go and have quibbles. So we're going to throw in just a tiny bit here. This is leftovers from ice racing this winter. If you're interested in that, you can check it out on my second channel, RCG Racing, here on YouTube. Ice racing was a lot of fun. Actually, my Ice Racer has the bigger version of this engine in it. Goes pretty good. So, it's about 45 degrees out. Not exactly the best temperature to try and tune in one of these fresh, but we're going to try it anyway. So, choke should be on. Clutch all the way down. See if it'll do anything. So, I really like this Traveler starter fluid. This seems to work really good. So, give it full choke and turn it over. Yeah, okay, so that indicates most likely that carburetor's got to get pulled and cleaned or replaced. Alright, we'll be back. I'm going to pull and clean the carburetor. It is never a good sign if you have gas to here and you pull this and no gas comes out whatsoever. I doubt we're going to be able to save this carburetor, but let's at least see what kind of lovely is inside. Oh yeah. That's adorable. I'm going to try. But there's a good chance that you guys will see a brand new carburetor on there. By the way, I've been working with Hipa with their carburetors for these. I'm on my third one now. I absolutely love them. I will make sure there's a link in the description for you guys in case you need one also. Totally recommended and endorsed. Ghetto mechanic tip of the day. An old dart from a yard sale. Lets you put it down into this little edge here and just follow that right along in order to get all of this dried out icky gasket out of here. And also, this is why it is the carb wouldn't flow any gas. It had built up some sort of residue-y chunk here that actually had sealed the whole thing. So who knows, maybe we can get some fluid passing through there and rebuild it. Well, let's try this again. I have this off because I do not trust the needle that is in here, and I would rather the gas come flooding out of it than go down into the cylinder and wash things out. I'm going to be ordering up a carburetor, but we're going to see if this thing will fire. Well, I can't say that it's the best freebie, but it also is not the worst freebie. It has a ton of little things that would ethically prevent me from selling this unit. The deck belt is anything but new. The dry belt is the wrong type of belt for what should be on this. It's a regular rubber belt instead of a Kevlar belt. The braking system for the deck is not functional, which I don't care when it's my own machine. But when you're dealing with these 46s, let me see if I can show you guys. If you're dealing with a 46, that comes that far out, which means that if anybody heavy steps onto there, these get brittle with age, people get stupid, they step on them, their ankle goes through, and that blade goes right through the bottom of their foot, and that's the end of it. So, as it is right now, the machine's not in a sellable condition. If I didn't weigh 200 pounds, that safety switch would not be functional. And so, that is right there. So I think what we're going to do with this one is, rather than attempt to sell it, I think we are going to turn it into 5 or 6 different how-to videos along the way. This DL3500 series is the same exact chassis setup as a whole ton of Craftsman's. The Red Hood version of this is all exactly the same underneath. The only difference basically is the deck size and the rear tire size, and that's about it. The transmission in this thing, I am amazed at how quiet it is. Usually when they're this high hour, usually those 46 tough torques are usually very loud, and this one is actually quite quiet. I didn't check to see if the headlights work. I guess we should end the video with doing that. What do you say? Who's gonna bet that this carburetor didn't just flood the engine? Pull that. Turn this. Headlight switch. Nope, didn't think so. We'll have to figure that out later. Well, there we go. There was our first tractor hunt of 2022. What do you guys think of this little goatee braided thing? She thinks I should braid it down through like a ponytail on my chin. What do you guys think? Have fun!